Quit switching to guy.
So he's a murderer, not a diddler, because we don't look like we're exploiting children being diddled. So it's only implied that Freddy fucks kids. Welcome to They Live for Horror podcast. I am your host, Jared. With me today, as always, horror film buff. That's where you say your name.
Masturbating cats.
That's your name.
Yeah.
His name's Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
And this is They Live for Horror.
We are back.
A podcast. Really? You waited until we hit record to open that. You've been sitting here for like 15 minutes.
It's peach mango.
With a drink. It just...
I got a bang.
And we are here to talk about, discuss the child pedophile murderer. No, we're not talking about Bill Clinton. We're talking about Freddy Krueger. You came in way too early with the hay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Freddy Krueger, 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's right. It's not just Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's
misnamed all the time. It's just one nightmare. A Nightmare on Elm Street. This movie stars...
Not then. Not in Nightmare. A Nightmare.
Correct.
And
Proper English.
Fuck your dreams.
From Wes Craven.
Yeah.
This movie stars Johnny Depp in his first major role. Heather Langenkamp. I don't know why I struggled saying that name right now. I've said it 100 times.
It's hard to say camp.
And the late great character actor John Saxon, who just recently passed away. A slew of other people, but you got to talk about Freddy himself, Robert Englund. This movie only works because Robert Englund is a tremendous actor.
Yeah.
Took it very seriously, this role. A role that could have been taken, and in later movies isn't taking it seriously. But in this movie, he's not campy, he's not schlocky.
He is death in a nightmare.
He is scary.
Yeah.
Directed our second movie now done by Wes Craven. We originally did Scream. He also directed, before this, he directed The Last House on the Left. And as we discussed in the Scream episode, he probably directed a porno.
Ah, yeah. Still haven't found that.
This movie is a response, in his eyes, Wes Craven, to the fact that he was called an exploitative director. He didn't, because of Last House on the Left and the other movies he made prior to this, he just wanted to make a straight horror movie. And to him, the idea came... there's a couple different stories about it. But it mostly came from from what he said, two instances. One, when he was a kid, he was looking out the window when he saw a homeless guy wearing a sweater and a fedora, just walking around his neighborhood, and he stopped and looked up at Wes Craven, and Wes Craven got scared and looked down, like hid, and then when he looked back out, the guy was still looking through his window.
Oh, my God.
Just standing there. And that stuck with him. And then the other story is that there was a group of immigrants from like Cambodia that came to America that were having nightmares and dying in their sleep.
Oh.
And there was like a series of LA Times stories about that. And that's where he came up with the idea of Freddy Krueger entering children's dreams. Because there's nothing scarier than being like kids dying.
Yeah,
To me, it and Freddy were like the two movies that showed me like kids die.
Yeah.
Not just teenagers, but like kids can die.
Yeah. It is kind of supposed to be like the no place of killing.
Yeah.
Not supposed to kill kids.
You know, people compare Freddy to like Jason and Michael Myers. This actually came years after those guys. This is 1984. This was like reinventing. Like we talked about how Wes Craven reinvented the slasher in the 90s with Scream. He reinvented the slasher here in 1984 by making it like supernatural in a way. Like Jason and Michael Myers became supernatural later, but when they did this, it was like supernatural, and it was like the first major movie to have that. This movie saved New Line Cinema. It's actually called New Line Cinema became the house that Freddy built because they were going bankrupt. This movie gets made for only $1.8 million, which even by 1980 standards is nothing.
That's crazy, yeah.
It ends up making, just in box office, just theater release, $25.5 million.
Wow.
Wes Craven gets lauded as like the hero of New Line Cinema at the time.
Yeah.
So,
maybe of horror, too. I don't know.
No, because I mean it was right dab in the middle of the 1980s, where like horror was the prevailing genre.
It was like the zombie
80s.
thing and shit.
Well, it was just like slashers were everywhere, zombie movies, werewolf movies, like everything in the 80s. When you think of horror, you're thinking the 1980s and action movies.
And he brought something original because it's multi-dimensional.
Yeah. You know, there were obviously other supernatural villains in horror movies prior to this, like
vampires and
but like this was like, to me, it's one of my all-time favorite horror movies because you're never more vulnerable than when you're sleeping, and Freddy will get you when you're sleeping.
Yeah,
like trying to stay awake is impossible. You can't do it.
No, no.
And I know you weren't a huge fan of this when I brought up watching A Nightmare on Elm Street. You're like, I'm not
Well,
really
it's because
a big...
I've seen like the second and third the more.
See, to me, the third one's the best one.
Oh, okay.
I like the third one the most. I think the first one is really, really good. The second one's...
Maybe it's the second one I saw.
Yeah, the second one's
like
not as
super
good.
slapsticky or something, but
Yeah, in the second one, he gets too slapsticky. It's a little too weird. The third one, A New Nightmare, not to get too deep into it, but yeah, she comes back. Nancy comes back, and everything kind of... It reminded me a lot of the first one. The kills are really cool, like the first one, but like Freddy doesn't become the shticky Freddy until the second one. The first one, he's only in the movie 7 minutes, maybe 8 minutes max. He's like Jaws. He's like the shark in Jaws. You just don't see him very often. When you see him, he's scary as shit. He's scary as fuck.
Nosferatu.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, to me, it's like you are more afraid of Freddy because you don't see Freddy very often.
You don't know where he'll come up.
Yep. And then, like, also the other thing is you don't realize it upon first viewing. Freddy gets stronger as the movie goes on because more people are afraid of him. At the beginning of the movie, his voice is higher. That was a decision made by Robert Englund as an actor. At the beginning of the movie, he's a little quieter. He's more in the shadows. And then as he kills people and people become more afraid of Freddy and more aware of Freddy, he becomes stronger. Which builds off of, spoiler, at the end of the movie, when she just decides she's not afraid of him anymore. And that makes Freddy go away, takes the power away, much like the clown in It. You know, Pennywise in It loses the power when you're not afraid of him. It's almost like Freddy and Pennywise are kind of the same character in a lot of ways.
Well, when did it come out, the TV version?
Well, the book came out before this.
Oh, okay.
But...
Sorry, I just had to let myself out a minute.
But I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, but I think there is a difference between the two. It's not like I'm not saying Wes Craven ripped off Stephen King.
Oh no.
Yeah, they're different they're different ideas altogether. So now we're gonna get into the categories. First one up, most what the fuck moment. I would say it's the death of Tina. Because they set her up for the first 15 minutes of this movie like she's going to be the final girl. You're tracking Tina throughout the entire first 15 minutes of the movie. You're not even thinking about Nancy. And then Tina gets killed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute. And Wes Craven repulls that trick again in Scream with Drew Barrymore. He does it better with the Drew Barrymore death. But yeah, you're following her. You're programmed as a movie fan, even prior to becoming schlocky to call it the final girl. You're programmed to be like, okay, this is the star of the movie. This is the girl that's going to fight Freddy. This is the girl that's going to beat Freddy. No, kills her.
And who was the actress that played that? Nancy, not Nancy, but
that played Tina.
Yeah,
that was
because in Scream, it being the name of that person, the actress Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, it was Amanda Weiss, so she wasn't like a major star.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. You were kind of programmed though to think like she was going to be it. And then
he figured it out by Scream then to have the star.
Yeah, he sort of took the idea of Psycho too. I mean, Psycho. Alfred Hitchcock did that in Psycho. He kills, like we talked about in Scream. You follow this lady for like 20 minutes of a movie.
Time in that movie.
Yeah, in Psycho. Yeah, you follow for a long time, and then boom, she's dead. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Sort of the same thing here with Tina.
Yeah.
And then less or so with Drew Barrymore later on. She obviously has the star appeal, but then they kill her right away.
And in the original Carmen Electra.
Yeah. Wait, what?
The original Scream, scary movie.
We're not doing this again. I'm not doing this again. I'm not playing this game with you, man. But yeah, that to me is the most what the fuck moment, the death of Tina.
Mine was Johnny Depp's death, which is why I made the trailer. His mom had come in and told him, you should probably get to bed or whatever the heck. And he was trying to stay awake.
You're right. That is the most... It's another what the fuck moment because he's not asleep when Freddy kills him. He doesn't... He's the only character in the movie that doesn't believe in Freddy. He never had a dream about Freddy.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's just grabbed through the mattress.
Man, yeah. And the other thing about that scene is that's the same room that Tina's killed in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So... and all it is they just... It was a masterful special effects job by them because if you watch... what they did is everything is upside down.
Oh, okay.
And then shot right side up.
Oh.
And the room is flipping around and moving around on the bed, and people were hurt making it. Like one of the stunt coordinators got hurt when things were falling off the ceiling and landing on people underneath, and they had just gallons of blood. And They actually ended up just using food coloring and water. They were like, we can't. They tried the stickier stuff; it wouldn't work with what they wanted. They couldn't make the cyclone effect with it, so they just used red food dye and water. And Johnny Depp talked about how he was just red for days. Everyone involved in that scene was just red for days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to think that they pulled that off with as small a budget as they had is incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. That's another really good what the fuck.
And to
moment
think
in that
that's
movie.
that's his debut, isn't it?
Yep.
Released into film.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's I want to say 21 Jump Street was right around then, but it's definitely his first major role that made everyone go, he's the big breakout star of the movie, other than Robert.
And he
Englund.
acted it well, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he's acting.
The whole movie is acted really,
Yeah,
really well.
That's
like,
true.
Top to bottom, it's one of those.
I feel bad for having previous comments or whatever, because I get stuck in the sequels.
The sequels, and I think people need to. Yeah, you definitely have to separate the two.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you can't talk about the remake at all because that's terrible.
I liked the depiction of Freddy as a darker character, but the movie just didn't work.
Yeah,
It just didn't
yeah.
work, man, because it just didn't for me. The next category
It wasn't Robert Englund,
right.
you know, for one.
Yep, and as good as he was in that movie, you're right. It just wasn't him.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And then the next category was Rotten Tomatoes score 94% with critics. Obviously,
Wow.
a lot of this is after 1984.
Yeah, for
So that's
sure.
one of the problems with Rotten Tomatoes, the way they score things, is critics can go back
Oh,
and review movies from a long time ago, and it's like, this movie was not well received when it first came out by critics, like all horror movies, and then later on retroactively.
I'm sure Siskel and Ebert did not like this one.
Oh, I would have to look it up, but yeah,
It's
the audience.
nasty.
The audience score surprisingly is only 83%. So more critics like this movie by percentage than fans. Don't get
weird.
it. I love this movie, and
Yeah.
you know,
I can't believe we haven't done this movie yet. You know,
yeah, we're
honestly.
only on episode, what is this, 15, 16?
16,
16. Did this movie actually scare you? When I watched it as a
It scared me.
Yeah, when I was
for
like
sure.
when I was like 10 when I saw this, it scared the
Yeah.
shit out of me. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah,
I didn't want to sleep.
it worked.
This dude's gonna pop out of my phone and lick my ear. A glove's gonna come out of the bathtub and grab my crotch.
Yeah,
No,
fuck that.
it was scary as shit.
It was scary.
The scene with the body bag in the school when she falls asleep at school. It's
Yeah.
like school is supposed to be the safe place, and now he's gonna get me at school.
Yeah,
It's been spoofed many, many times. Probably the best Treehouse of Horrors was when they did. What's his name? The groundskeeper Willie
oh,
as Freddy was really good. It's one of my favorites. Who stole the show? So who was the actor that?
I gotta say Johnny.
Yeah, It's Robert Englund though.
I mean,
It's Freddy. Like,
Yeah.
There's no doubt. He's only in the movie like Hannibal Lecter. He's only
Yeah.
in the movie a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But the whole movie works because of the actor that they put in that small, tiny role. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, it's not a tiny role. But, screen time wise, he's not in the movie very much.
Yeah.
It only works because he's so good at doing what he's doing. So for me, it's obviously Freddy. Johnny Depp does a really good job. Amanda Weiss does a really good job as Tina. That whole movie's just acted so well.
it is. Yeah,
It's not like, to me, Friday the 13th, the acting isn't great. Like, there is no movie
yeah.
you watch Friday, other than Corey Feldman in the fourth Friday the 13th. There really aren't any great acting performances in any of those slasher movies.
those seem like the we found this college kid to do it.
Yeah, exactly. John Saxon's like was a long time character actor. So the fact they got him to play the sheriff and he was really good in that movie. He was really good in it. So, but yeah, I got to go Freddy. You're going Johnny Depp. I mean,
Well,
you're splitting
the
hairs
obvious
here.
choice is Freddy. I didn't know we could choose him, but yeah.
Yeah, I
he
guess
obviously steals the
I
show.
was gonna say the category is kind of vague.
Yeah.
And like it could be this person's only in this movie for 2 minutes and they're fucking awesome, or it
Yeah.
could be the star of the movie clearly still was able to steal the show because
Yeah,
he did so
yeah.
well.
That's true.
It's like, to me, the shark stole the show in Jaws.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Best kill. I mean, you're gonna go with the Johnny Depp death.
Sorry.
No, it's fine, man.
Yeah.
It's a great death. Trying to think of any other ones that work beyond that one. Tina's death.
The tub one. That's always.
She didn't die in the tub though.
But it's a creepy.
It's
you're
definitely
right.
creepy as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an almost death that
Yeah.
would have worked really well. Because again, you're in the bath. Mm-hmm. Like,
Where you feel safe.
yeah,
You know?
this movie hits you in all the places you should feel safe.
Yeah.
and you're not safe.
Yeah.
It's like a camp. You're not feeling safe.
No.
You're already out of your element. You're in the middle of nowhere.
You're
surrounded
already,
by mostly strangers. Okay?
and you're already second guessing everyone in a way.
Yep.
You
Or
know.
a cabin in the woods, man. You're out away from society.
Like,
like a bear could come kill you like
Yeah.
at any moment.
yeah, you're already on guard in your mind of what's gonna happen.
This movie works so well because it hits you.
Suburbia.
Yeah, it hits you in your sleep.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. You try to fight back, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You're at school, you're in your bath. All of these places, it works because of that.
Yeah.
Next up, with this, oh yeah, we changed the category. What would you have Sid Haig do in this movie? I mean, obviously, he replaces John Saxon as the sheriff, the dad.
Okay. I would have said Freddy, but just
No, he doesn't. To me, it doesn't work. It's not like it's a totally different movie.
It is. Yeah.
If Sid is Freddy,
Yeah, that's
It's-
true. No, I like him as. We don't ever book him as a sheriff, so.
Yeah, I think we have once before.
Oh.
Yeah, we had him as the Texas Ranger.
Oh
in,
yeah, yeah. But
Dusk
that's
Till
a
Dawn.
facade.
Yeah,
That was a facade role. Maybe he really was the ranger, but I thought he was just stealing someone else's identity.
no, he was a Texas Ranger. In that
And the real ranger's Leatherface's new mask. I don't know.
no, from Dusk Till Dawn. That's what I was talking about.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
we had him as a Texas Ranger
That's
in Dusk
right.
Till Dawn. Yep.
What was I thinking? Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, you're thinking
My
Chainsaw
bad.
Massacre. That's okay. But yeah, I think Sid works really well as Nancy's dad in this movie.
Okay, yeah.
And I think you're just talking about the parents in this movie. What the hell?
Yeah,
Like, nobody believes anybody despite these supernatural murders happening right in front of you.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk about it. They all just ignore it. So I'm wondering if there isn't something Freddy's doing to the parents, too, that makes them
could
blind
be.
to what's going on around them.
keeps them oblivious.
It's never fully fleshed out, though. The parents in these movies, man, they just don't care, it seems like. The mom's too drunk. The dad's too busy at work, which, by the way, if their kid's being killed, yeah, I guess I want the sheriff focus on work. But the parents kill Freddy Krueger because he's not convicted.
Mm-hmm.
They just straight up kill him, and he comes back to murder everyone, to murder their kids. It's a great premise.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great idea. The other one that I wanted to talk about, just because it wasn't a kill, but like to me, the scariest scene was the boiler room scene where Freddy meets Nancy for the first time, and it scares the living hell out of me as a kid because it was like, what? Like, he was so scary. The
Well,
shadows.
and it's the claws.
Yep.
The claws do a big deal of it for me as a kid.
Robert Englund joked that he hurt himself the first time he put that on.
Oh.
That glove on, because those were actually sharp.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, he ends up hurting himself the first time he puts it on. That glove is missing. No one knows what happened to it.
Oh, shit.
Wes Craven had it,
Yeah.
used it in the sequel, and then he let them use it in the third one and never saw it again.
Oh, shit.
There's a rumor that, like, Robert Englund has it. There's a rumor that Robert Englund's agent has it. There's a rumor it just got thrown away. But yeah, that no one knows where that glove is.
Oh,
One of the
my
most-
gosh.
It's like the most iconic horror movie weapon.
Yeah.
People say Jason's machete, but, like, he didn't get the machete till the third one.
But that machete's been in, like, Vietnam. Like, it wasn't made just for
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Jason,
I would say it's that or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre chainsaw.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty iconic weapon
Yeah.
used by one specific character that if you...
And he was a butcher, born butcher,
Yep.
So, yeah.
And anytime I think butcher, I think chainsaw. You're picking nits.
It's the parents being blind, I guess, but now you're making sense out of it a little bit.
I mean, you have to retroactively make the excuse for Wes Craven. Like, you have to do that for a
Yeah.
lot of horror movies.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
just a
true.
Wes Craven thing.
Suspend some
Yeah.
disbelief or whatever.
I would say my biggest nitpick is the ending.
Okay.
It's the ending. Like, she beats Freddy.
Yeah.
It's over. She opens the door. Her friends are still alive. Everything's normal. So, like, to me, that means that she was in that dream. The entire movie is Nancy's dream.
Mm-hmm.
And she got out of it. She beat Freddy, and everyone's alive.
Mm-hmm.
The movie essentially didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then Freddy becomes the car, and Freddy drags the mom back into the house just so we can make a sequel. Wes Craven's ending was her leaving the house, and that's it. The movie ends. But then the producers, New Line Cinema, wanted to set up a sequel.
Yeah.
So they made him shoehorn in Freddy. And Wes Craven's talked many times about how he wished they would have just ended it
Yeah.
when Freddy disappeared because she finally beat him.
Yeah.
And she like fucking goes full on Home Alone at the end of that movie.
Oh,
Man. She's
yeah.
setting up traps.
Yeah.
No one's watching her. There's somebody should be watching her because
Yeah.
there are kids being killed throughout the entire city, especially on that block.
Yeah.
And her parents like, nah. Let's just let Nancy be alone.
Is that Craven maybe pointing the finger at parents,
I don't know.
saying you should watch your kids more?
No, I think it's just a horror movie trope that parents don't
Ah,
exist with these
yeah.
teenagers.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know what it was? It was like, maybe in the 1980s, parents just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, parents just left you home alone to watch
Oh,
TV,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Like, where are the parents in Halloween?
Mm-hmm.
Where are the parents? Like, I mean, there's a reason the parents are gone in Friday the 13th for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're at camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, the parenting in this movie is just god awful. If you're a parent and there are kids disappearing after falling asleep and being brutally murdered, I don't know.
Yeah.
Assume something supernatural is going on, but also, what am I gonna do?
Where's the state emergency?
Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, what is he in Devil's Rejects? What the fuck are you gonna do, hero? Nothing. There's nothing I can do. Sorry, kid. You're gonna get killed by Freddy. I can't keep you awake forever. I can't jump into your dreams and fight them for you. You know what? The parents are. We always end up doing this at the end of episodes. We'll pick a villain throughout the movie where we're like, God, what's wrong with this person? Then by the end we're like, we find justifications for it. And I think I just talked myself into it. Obviously, I think I've done way too much talking in this episode, and I hogged all the microphone
no.
time. But it is one of my favorite movies,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think it needs to be.
This is what I like, man. Is when you've got all the deets and we just fucking
yeah, it's
lay them out.
To me, it's the perfect horror movie.
Yeah.
It really is. There's not a lot of mistakes made in it. The sequels, you can just talk about how not good they are. They did spawn 7 sequels.
Mm-hmm.
But man, this movie on its own, probably top 5 horror movie of all time for me.
Yeah.
It's up
Yeah.
there, man. What's next? We just wrapped up A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Woo! So August is our anniversary.
Yes, and I did want to
And-
apologize. We missed an episode in July because
Guys,
personal things came up.
Shit's been going south for us here.
Yeah, so wanted to apologize. We are going to try to have 2 episodes this month.
Try and keep our host in your thoughts, guys, as he's in the midst of rebuilding a house.
Yep. So we were going to try to have The Void, right? We're going to
Yeah, the Void watch along.
We'll try to do a watch along.
Try to.
Yep.
The Void for sure. It's one of our top favorites, and we didn't know what we were doing.
didn't.
Or I didn't know what I was doing.
We didn't know what we were doing. We were doing it remotely, and now we do it together.
Yeah.
It has a different feel to it. So we're going to redo The Void, probably try to do it as a watch along.
Yeah, and I'm still watching it monthly or whatever. Like, it's still a favorite.
It's in the rotation, man. I've seen this
Oh, yeah.
movie maybe a dozen times.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah,
It's so yeah, it's definitely up there. It's my wife's favorite horror movie.
yeah.
So if you haven't watched The Void, watch The Void and let us know what you think.
Please.
Check us out at They Live for Horror on Twitter. We had a Facebook group. We're not very active in there. We got to get more active in our Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
And click subscribe, please. It's like the only way we can get better is if you guys help us out. Like I know it's hard to find the show. I'm really glad you found it.
Yeah, yeah.
But we'd like if you shared it and to get the word out because we put a lot of research into this, a lot of work into this. So thanks for tuning in. And Tom, you got anything to plug?
If you could find that porno,
Yeah.
Send
forgot
it our
about
way,
that.
man.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to send dick pics to suplexcitylimits@gmail.com.
yep.
Those guys love it, man. Oh, I was going to bring up one thing before we go.
Okay.
You're a musician. You make music all the time. How perfect is the score in this movie?
It's fucking amazing.
It's great, right? It's up there with Halloween as the best music.
I think it's better than Halloween, but it's
For me, it's like 1A, 1B.
yeah.
I was going to ask, and then I forgot to put it in my notes, and I thought of it. And so it's like, because
It's maybe it's my favorite part.
yeah,
I'll
it's
be
so,
real.
so good. And not just the creepy 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
No, it's
Not just that, it's the piano throughout, man,
Yeah.
and the way it builds Freddy.
Yeah,
So good. So, I mean, if you haven't checked out A Nightmare on Elm Street, go fuck yourself.
yeah.
But yeah, like, people got hurt. And by people, I mean those kids.